Have you ever been told that the only way to control your blood sugar is to stop eating carbohydrates? What if that advice has been keeping you trapped in the same frustrating cycle for years? Imagine discovering that the key to lowering your glucose is not about giving up the foods you enjoy, but about adding the right ones in the right way. It may sound too simple to believe, yet I have watched this approach transform the lives of countless people who thought medication was their only future. Many arrived feeling discouraged, convinced their numbers would only continue climbing. Some believed they would spend the rest of their lives increasing prescriptions while living in fear of complications. Then they made a few strategic changes to what they placed on their plates, and something remarkable began to happen. Their blood sugar started falling naturally, their energy improved, and many continued seeing healthy readings for months and even years without needing additional medication. That is exactly why this conversation matters. Today, you are going to discover 10 powerful foods that help your body work the way it was designed to. They do not rely on gimmicks or miracle promises. Instead, they support the natural systems inside your body that regulate blood sugar every single day. By the end, you will understand why adding the right foods can often be far more effective than simply removing carbohydrates, and you will see how small daily choices can create lasting results. If you have ever wondered why your glucose stays high despite trying everything, stay with me because the explanation begins much deeper than most people realize. Before we dive into the foods themselves, I want to ask you for one small favor. If you enjoy learning how your body actually works instead of only hearing about another prescription or another quick fix, take a second to subscribe, leave a like, and tell me your fasting blood sugar number from this week in the comments below. I read those comments carefully because they help me understand the real challenges people are facing. Your experiences shape the topics I cover next, allowing me to create videos that answer the questions many people never get enough time to ask during a short medical appointment. One of the biggest problems with modern healthcare is not that doctors do not care. The problem is that there simply is not enough time to explain what is really happening inside your body. In a brief office visit, most people leave with a diagnosis, a prescription, and instructions to avoid sugar. Very few leave understanding why their blood sugar became elevated in the first place or how certain foods communicate directly with their cells. Without that understanding, it becomes almost impossible to make lasting improvements because you are treating symptoms instead of addressing the underlying cause. The story of high blood sugar usually begins with a hormone called insulin. Think of insulin as the messenger responsible for unlocking your body's cells. Every time you eat carbohydrates, they are broken down into glucose, which travels through your bloodstream. That glucose is supposed to move from your blood into your muscles, liver, and other tissues where it can be used for energy. Insulin makes that transfer possible by signaling the cells to open their doors and allow glucose inside. The problem develops gradually over many years. After constant exposure to high levels of sugar and insulin, your cells begin ignoring insulin's signal. It is almost as if insulin keeps knocking on the front door, but nobody answers. Doctors call this insulin resistance. Since glucose cannot enter the cells efficiently anymore, it remains trapped in the bloodstream where your blood sugar readings continue climbing higher and higher. Your pancreas notices this problem immediately and responds by producing even more insulin. It hopes that sending stronger and stronger signals will finally convince the cells to respond. Unfortunately, the cells often remain resistant. The pancreas works harder, insulin levels continue rising, and blood sugar still refuses to come down the way it should. This creates a vicious cycle that slowly becomes more difficult to escape. For many people, the next step is another medication designed to force even more insulin into a body that is already producing too much. While medication certainly has an important role and can be life-saving when needed, it often does not solve the root issue. The real challenge is helping your cells become sensitive to insulin again so your own body can manage blood sugar more efficiently. That is exactly where nutrition becomes incredibly powerful. Every food we are about to discuss performs one or more essential jobs. Some slow the speed at which glucose enters your bloodstream. Others reduce the chronic inflammation that prevents insulin from working properly. Several actually improve the responsiveness of your insulin receptors, allowing glucose to move into the cells more efficiently. Together, these foods help restore the natural balance your metabolism has been struggling to maintain. The best part is that you do not need to overhaul your entire diet overnight. There is no need to panic or attempt all 10 changes at once. Instead, begin adding one food at a time over the next couple of weeks. Each healthy choice builds upon the previous one, creating a powerful cumulative effect that supports healthier blood sugar every single day. The first food may surprise you, because many people have never even considered using it. It is called fenugreek, and despite its impressive benefits, it often sits unnoticed on grocery store shelves for only a few dollars. These small golden seeds might not look extraordinary, but inside them is one of nature's most effective tools for supporting healthy blood sugar. Ignoring them simply because they seem unfamiliar means overlooking a simple, affordable ingredient that has helped many people begin lowering their fasting glucose within a surprisingly short period of time. When we look closely at what happens after these tiny seeds enter your body, their remarkable effects begin to make perfect sense. Fenugreek works because it contains an exceptional type of soluble fiber known as galactomannan. The moment these seeds absorb water inside your stomach, they swell and form a thick, gel-like layer that naturally slows digestion. Instead of carbohydrates rushing into your small intestine and flooding your bloodstream with glucose, they are released little by little, creating a much steadier rise in blood sugar. That slower digestion changes everything. When glucose enters your blood gradually, your pancreas no longer has to respond with a massive burst of insulin. Instead of experiencing a sharp spike followed by a crash that leaves you tired and hungry, your body handles the incoming sugar at a comfortable pace. This simple process reduces stress on your entire metabolic system while giving your cells a better opportunity to respond normally. Fenugreek offers another advantage that many people never hear about. Beyond its fiber, these seeds contain a unique amino acid that encourages the pancreas to release insulin more efficiently, while also helping muscle cells absorb glucose more effectively. In other words, it not only slows the arrival of sugar, but also helps your body move that sugar into the cells where it belongs. Over the years, I have seen people who struggled with stubborn fasting glucose numbers experience noticeable improvements after making fenugreek part of their daily routine. While everyone responds differently, many begin seeing encouraging changes within the first week or two. That is impressive for something that costs only a few dollars and can be found in nearly every grocery store. Using fenugreek is simple. Take 1 teaspoon of the whole seeds and soak them overnight in a glass of water. By morning, the seeds become softer and the water contains many of the beneficial compounds released during soaking. Drink the water first, then eat the softened seeds before breakfast to receive the full benefit. If the flavor feels a little too bitter for your taste, there is an easy alternative. Grind the seeds into a powder and mix about half a teaspoon into plain yogurt, or sprinkle it over eggs or other savory foods. Start with a small amount because the high fiber content can take a few days for your digestive system to adjust comfortably. The second food is probably already sitting in your kitchen, but surprisingly, most people are using the wrong variety. That food is cinnamon. While almost every grocery store sells it, not every type offers the same safety or benefits when used regularly. The cinnamon most commonly found on supermarket shelves is called cassia cinnamon. Although it provides flavor, it also contains relatively high amounts of a natural compound called coumarin. When consumed in large amounts every day over long periods, coumarin may place unnecessary stress on the liver. Instead, look for Ceylon cinnamon, often labeled as true cinnamon. Its flavor is slightly milder, but it contains far less coumarin, making it a much better option for daily use. It is the variety I recommend because it combines effectiveness with long-term safety. What makes cinnamon so valuable is its impressive collection of natural plant compounds known as polyphenols. These substances behave in a fascinating way inside the body. Rather than replacing insulin, they help insulin perform its job more effectively by improving how your insulin receptors respond when glucose arrives in the bloodstream. At the same time, cinnamon gently slows stomach emptying after meals. That means carbohydrates are digested more gradually, instead of entering your bloodstream all at once. The combination of improved insulin activity and slower digestion creates a noticeable reduction in post-meal glucose spikes. This isn't simply theory. Researchers from the USDA Human Nutrition Research Center found that consuming less than half a teaspoon of cinnamon daily significantly improved fasting blood glucose levels in adults living with type 2 diabetes. Sometimes the smallest habits create surprisingly meaningful changes when practiced consistently. Adding cinnamon to your routine couldn't be easier. Use about 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon each day. Stir it into oatmeal, mix it into coffee, blend it into a smoothie, or sprinkle it over yogurt. The greatest benefit comes when you eat it alongside carbohydrate-containing meals because that is exactly when your insulin receptors need the extra support. Now let's move to one of the most overlooked foods on this entire list. If there is one ingredient that deserves far more attention than it receives, it is broccoli sprouts. Most people assume ordinary broccoli provides the same benefit, but that assumption causes them to miss what makes these tiny sprouts truly remarkable. We are not talking about mature broccoli florets. We are talking about the delicate 3-day-old sprouts. During this early stage of growth, broccoli contains extraordinarily high concentrations of a compound called sulforaphane, often reaching 50 to 100 times the amount found in fully grown broccoli. Sulforaphane works differently from every food we have discussed so far. Rather than acting mainly in the digestive system, it targets your liver. During the night, while you sleep, your liver naturally produces glucose to keep your body functioning until breakfast. However, when insulin resistance develops, the liver frequently releases much more glucose than necessary. That excessive overnight glucose production explains why so many people wake up confused by high fasting blood sugar despite eating nothing for 8 or 10 hours. They assume something must have gone wrong, when in reality their liver has simply been producing too much sugar throughout the night. A landmark study conducted in Sweden during 2017 demonstrated exactly how powerful sulforaphane can be. Participants with type 2 diabetes who received concentrated sulforaphane experienced measurable reductions in fasting blood sugar, with the strongest improvements appearing in those whose diabetes had been the most difficult to control. Fortunately, you do not need expensive supplements to benefit. Broccoli sprouts are inexpensive, easy to grow in a simple glass jar at home, and increasingly available in grocery produce sections. Just a small handful, around 1/4 cup, added to salads, sandwiches, or wraps several times each week can make a meaningful difference. One important detail should not be overlooked. High heat destroys much of sulforaphane's activity. Instead of cooking the sprouts thoroughly, enjoy them raw or only lightly warmed. Preserving this delicate compound allows you to receive the maximum metabolic benefit from every serving. At this point, we've already explored 3 foods that quietly work behind the scenes to improve blood sugar in different but complementary ways. Some slow the release of glucose, others improve insulin sensitivity, and some reduce the liver's excessive sugar production. But the next group of foods becomes even more practical because they fit naturally into meals you're probably already eating every day. When you begin combining these strategies together, the improvements often become far greater than what any single food could accomplish on its own. The 4th food is the avocado, and unfortunately it has spent years being misunderstood. Many people avoid it because they focus only on its calorie content or hear the word fat and immediately assume it must be unhealthy. In reality, avocado contains exactly the kind of fat that supports healthy blood sugar rather than working against it. The majority of the fat in an avocado is monounsaturated fat, the same heart-friendly fat found in extra virgin olive oil. Combined with its natural fiber, this healthy fat changes the way your body handles an entire meal. Instead of allowing carbohydrates to be digested rapidly, avocado slows the entire process, giving glucose a much gentler path into the bloodstream. Think about what happens when you eat plain white rice or a slice of toast by itself. Those carbohydrates break down quickly, sending a large amount of glucose into your blood within a short period. Now imagine eating that same meal with half an avocado. You have not removed the carbohydrates, but you have dramatically slowed the speed at which they are absorbed. That slower release means your pancreas does not have to flood your bloodstream with insulin all at once. Blood sugar rises steadily instead of shooting upward, and your cells have more time to process the incoming glucose efficiently. Over time, this simple adjustment helps reduce the repeated glucose spikes that contribute to worsening insulin resistance. Research has also shown that monounsaturated fats improve insulin sensitivity. In practical terms, that means your cells become more willing to respond when insulin signals them to absorb glucose. The hormone no longer has to knock repeatedly before the cell finally opens its door. That small improvement, repeated meal after meal, can create significant changes over time. One reason avocado is so easy to recommend is because it naturally increases fullness. People who include it with breakfast or lunch often find themselves staying satisfied much longer, making it easier to avoid the sugary snacks that commonly appear an hour or two later. Instead of constantly battling cravings, your body begins feeling comfortably nourished. A practical serving is about half an avocado each day. Slice it over eggs, spread it onto whole grain toast, mix it into salads, or serve it alongside meals that already contain carbohydrates. Every time you pair avocado with starches, you are helping soften the impact those carbohydrates have on your blood sugar. The fifth food is chia seeds, another ingredient that looks incredibly small but delivers remarkable benefits. If you have ever watched chia seeds soak in water and transform into a thick pudding-like texture, then you have already witnessed the secret behind how they support healthy glucose control. Chia seeds are one of the richest natural sources of soluble fiber available. Once they absorb water inside your stomach, they create a thick gel that surrounds the carbohydrates in your meal. That gel slows digestion dramatically, allowing sugar to enter your bloodstream gradually instead of all at once. This slower absorption helps prevent the sharp rise and sudden fall in blood sugar that leaves many people feeling exhausted, shaky, or hungry shortly after eating. Rather than riding a roller coaster of highs and lows throughout the day, your glucose remains much more stable, giving your body a chance to function the way it was designed. Chia seeds offer another important benefit through their plant-based omega-3 fatty acids. Chronic inflammation plays a major role in insulin resistance, interfering with the signals that tell your cells to absorb glucose. These healthy fats help calm that inflammation, allowing insulin to communicate with your cells more effectively again. Adding chia seeds to your daily routine is remarkably simple. 1 or 2 tablespoons each day are enough to provide meaningful benefits. Stir them into yogurt, blend them into smoothies, or mix them with water and a squeeze of fresh lemon juice. Allow the mixture to sit for about 10 minutes before drinking so the seeds have time to absorb liquid and form their protective gel. Also remember to drink plenty of water throughout the day because the fiber in chia needs adequate fluid to move comfortably through your digestive system. The sixth food addresses insulin resistance from an entirely different angle. Instead of slowing digestion, fatty fish works by reducing one of the biggest hidden drivers of metabolic disease, chronic inflammation. Among all the available options, salmon and mackerel stand out as 2 of the best choices. For years, scientists have understood that persistent low-grade inflammation interferes directly with insulin signaling. Even if your body produces enough insulin, inflamed cells often fail to respond properly. As a result, glucose remains trapped in the bloodstream while insulin levels continue climbing higher. Fatty fish contains 2 powerful omega-3 fatty acids known as EPA and DHA. These compounds are among the most effective natural anti-inflammatory nutrients we know. By calming inflammatory activity throughout the body, they help restore healthier cell membranes and improve the function of insulin receptors. When inflammation decreases, insulin can once again deliver its message efficiently. Your cells become more responsive, glucose moves where it belongs, and blood sugar becomes easier to manage. This is one reason people who regularly eat fatty fish often experience improvements that extend well beyond glucose control. Over many years of clinical practice, one pattern has appeared again and again. Individuals who consistently include fatty fish in their diets at least twice each week frequently show more stable fasting glucose, healthier blood pressure, and steadier overall metabolic health. While no single food is a cure, these consistent habits often produce meaningful long-term improvements. Aim for 2 servings each week, with each serving roughly the size of your palm. Wild salmon, mackerel, sardines, and herring are all excellent options. They provide outstanding nutrition without requiring complicated preparation. If fresh fish stretches your budget, canned varieties remain an outstanding alternative. In fact, canned sardines and canned mackerel are among the most affordable sources of omega-3 fats available, while still delivering nearly all of the same benefits. Bake, grill, or enjoy them straight from the can with vegetables or whole grains. By this point, you can probably see a pattern emerging. None of these foods depend on eliminating carbohydrates completely. Instead, each one supports your body's natural ability to process glucose more efficiently. Some slow digestion, others calm inflammation, and several improve insulin sensitivity directly. As these effects begin working together, your metabolism starts functioning more like it was always meant to, setting the stage for the final foods on this list that continue building this powerful foundation. The seventh food on the list is walnuts, and among all the nuts available, this is the one I most often encourage people to eat when they are trying to improve their blood sugar. They do much more than satisfy hunger. Walnuts nourish your blood vessels, support healthier insulin function, and help protect your body from some of the long-term damage caused by elevated glucose levels. Walnuts are naturally rich in polyunsaturated fats, including plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, similar to those found in chia seeds. These healthy fats improve the function of the endothelium, the delicate inner lining of your blood vessels. That lining is one of the very first places where consistently high blood sugar begins causing damage, often long before symptoms appear. Healthy blood vessels allow nutrients and oxygen to travel efficiently throughout the body, but they also play an important role in insulin sensitivity. When the endothelium functions well, your cells communicate more effectively with insulin. As circulation improves and inflammation decreases, your body becomes better equipped to regulate glucose naturally. Walnuts also provide an excellent combination of healthy fats, fiber, and protein. Together, these nutrients slow digestion and reduce the sharp blood sugar rise that often follows meals rich in refined carbohydrates. Instead of watching your glucose climb rapidly after eating, the increase becomes much steadier and easier for your body to manage. Research has also shown that regularly eating walnuts can help reduce fasting insulin levels. That is an important marker because fasting insulin reflects how hard your pancreas is working behind the scenes. Lower fasting insulin often means your body is becoming more sensitive to insulin, reducing the strain placed on the pancreas over time. A simple way to use walnuts is by replacing processed snacks with them. Instead of reaching for crackers, chips, or cookies during the afternoon, enjoy a small handful of raw walnuts. That single substitution changes an unhealthy snack into one that supports stable blood sugar while keeping you satisfied much longer. A sensible serving is around 1/4 cup, or approximately 7 to 10 whole walnuts. Choose raw or dry roasted varieties whenever possible, avoiding those coated in sugar, honey, or candy. The goal is to replace processed snacks rather than adding walnuts on top of them. The eighth food is one that has been surrounded by confusion for decades: whole eggs. For years, many people were told to fear egg yolks because of cholesterol concerns. As a result, countless breakfasts shifted toward sugary cereals, pastries, and low-fat processed foods that turned out to be far more harmful for blood sugar than eggs ever were. A whole egg contains almost no carbohydrate. Instead, it provides high-quality protein and healthy fats, meaning it has very little direct impact on blood glucose. But the greatest benefit goes far beyond what happens during breakfast itself. Scientists describe something known as the second meal effect. This refers to the observation that what you eat for breakfast influences how your body responds to your next meal. When your morning meal is rich in protein and healthy fat instead of refined carbohydrates, your blood sugar often remains steadier through lunch and even into the afternoon. Beginning your day with eggs creates a much more stable metabolic environment. Rather than starting the morning with a rapid glucose spike followed by a crash, you experience consistent energy and fewer cravings. By lunchtime, your blood sugar is already calmer, making the next meal easier for your body to handle. Protein also increases satiety. When breakfast keeps you full for several hours, those mid-morning cravings for cookies, pastries, or sugary drinks become far less intense. Instead of relying on willpower alone, your body's natural hunger signals begin working in your favor. Over the years, one of the quickest improvements I have observed comes from replacing breakfast cereal with 2 or 3 whole eggs. Many people notice better fasting glucose readings within a surprisingly short time because they have removed one of the biggest glucose spikes of the day. Aim for 2 or 3 whole eggs each morning if they fit your nutritional needs. Scramble them, boil them in advance for busy mornings, or prepare an omelet with vegetables such as spinach or mushrooms. Add half an avocado from earlier, and you have created one of the most blood sugar-friendly breakfasts imaginable. The ninth food is apple cider vinegar, and if you monitor your glucose at home, this is often one of the fastest-acting strategies on the entire list. Many people can actually see the difference on their glucose meter after just one meal when it is used correctly. The active ingredient responsible for these effects is acetic acid. This natural compound works in two important ways at the same time. First, it slows the rate at which your stomach empties, allowing carbohydrates to enter your bloodstream much more gradually. Second, it improves your muscles' ability to absorb glucose from the blood and use it as energy. Scientific evidence supporting this approach is remarkably strong. Research led by Dr. Carol Johnston at Arizona State University demonstrated that consuming 1 tablespoon of vinegar before a carbohydrate-rich meal reduced post-meal blood sugar spikes by roughly 20 to 30% in individuals with insulin resistance. That is a significant improvement from something inexpensive and readily available. Using apple cider vinegar safely is extremely important. Always mix 1 tablespoon into a full glass of water and drink it about 10 to 15 minutes before eating a meal that contains carbohydrates. Never drink vinegar straight from the bottle because its acidity can damage tooth enamel and irritate the throat. If you currently take medication for diabetes, especially medicines designed to lower blood sugar, discuss this strategy with your healthcare provider before adding it regularly. Because vinegar can improve glucose control, combining it with medication may lower your blood sugar more quickly than expected. Monitoring your readings carefully helps ensure everything remains both safe and effective. By now, 9 different foods have revealed an important truth. None of them require eliminating carbohydrates completely. Instead, each one helps your body process carbohydrates in a healthier, more natural way. The final food brings all of these principles together while proving that not every carbohydrate deserves to be feared. In fact, the last item on this list may completely change the way you think about managing blood sugar forever. The 10th and final food is lentils, and in many ways, they prove the central message of this entire video. Yes, lentils are a carbohydrate, but they are exactly the kind of carbohydrate that can actually help improve blood sugar control instead of making it worse. Their unique combination of resistant starch, soluble fiber, and plant protein slows digestion so effectively that glucose enters your bloodstream gradually, over several hours rather than all at once. Lentils also create the powerful second meal effect, meaning the benefits extend beyond the meal in which you eat them. A bowl of lentil soup or a lentil salad at lunch can help keep your blood sugar steadier throughout the afternoon and even into the evening. Replacing refined starches like white rice or white potatoes with lentils just a few times each week is one of the most reliable dietary changes for lowering A1C, your 3-month average blood sugar level. A serving of half a cup to 1 cup of cooked lentils is usually enough, and they are affordable, filling, and incredibly versatile. I remember a patient I'll call Donna, a 63-year-old woman who came to me feeling discouraged after being told she would likely need another diabetes medication. Her fasting blood sugar hovered around 180, and after watching her mother suffer severe complications from diabetes, she feared she was heading down the same road. Instead of eliminating every carbohydrate from her diet, we focused on adding the foods you've learned about today. Eggs and avocado replaced cereal at breakfast, lentils replaced white rice, walnuts became her afternoon snack, cinnamon went into her coffee, broccoli sprouts topped her lunch, fatty fish appeared twice a week, and apple cider vinegar became part of her larger meals. The results didn't happen overnight, but they happened faster than she expected. Within a week, her fasting blood sugar began moving in the right direction. After 3 months, working closely with her physician, she no longer needed the additional medication, and her A1C had improved dramatically. 2 years later, those healthy numbers remained stable because she hadn't relied on willpower alone. She had simply given her body the nutrients it needed to function properly again. When you look at these 10 foods together, a clear pattern appears. The fiber-rich foods slow the release of glucose, healthy fats reduce inflammation, and natural compounds like cinnamon and vinegar improve the way insulin works. Meal after meal, day after day, your cells gradually become more responsive to insulin again. That is what reversing insulin resistance truly means, restoring the body's ability to regulate blood sugar naturally instead of constantly fighting against it. One important reminder before you begin: if you currently use insulin or medications that can significantly lower blood sugar, work with your healthcare provider as you introduce these changes. As your body becomes more sensitive to insulin, your medication needs may change, and your doctor can help adjust them safely. Never stop or reduce prescription medication on your own. So here is your simple action plan. Tomorrow morning, replace a sugary breakfast with 2 or 3 eggs and half an avocado. Tonight, soak a teaspoon of fenugreek seeds for tomorrow morning. Add a quarter teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon to your coffee or oatmeal. Drink diluted apple cider vinegar before your largest carbohydrate meal. Replace white rice with lentils twice this week, and include fatty fish on your menu at least 2 times. You don't have to transform everything in one day. Just begin stacking these habits one by one, and let consistency do the work. Remember, controlling your blood sugar isn't about fearing carbohydrates. It's about choosing foods that help your body use them wisely. Small changes practiced consistently can create life-changing results over time. If you found this video helpful, subscribe for more evidence-based health content, share it with someone who is struggling with diabetes or prediabetes, and let me know your fasting blood sugar in the comments below. Thank you for watching, take care of your health, and I'll see you in the next vid.